Hello, lovely internet people. Well, I was part way through block printing this tea towel and I suddenly thought, well, why aren't I showing it to you? Yeah, so here we are. I'm part way through block printing this tea towel. So I have my nice piece of nice thick foam underneath. I've then got a piece of calico, just a nice piece of cotton on top, and then on top of that, pinned out so it's nice and flat, I even ironed it first, yeah, go me, is our fabulous tea towel. So here are some stamps that I made earlier. This is a piece of foam core board, and that is Kitty's self-adhesive play foam, the stuff that comes in sheets. And I've cut it up and I have stuck it together. This is 2 layers of foam. Okay, 2 layers of foam, because that means it's far enough above that the foam board doesn't actually touch the tea towel when you press it down. So I believe I stuck these on with Pritt Stick, or no, they were self-adhesive fab foam. So essentially no glue, just cut out the self-adhesive foam, stick it together. So here we have 2, we have big one and a small one. Here we have some paint. So I've got coffee stirrers and these little sponges on sticks. See this little sponge on a stick? Really useful. Slightly larger sponge on a stick. I am using Block Craft fabric paints in various colours. These are water-based fabric paint, requires heat setting, and after that it's washable at 40. These are from the Indian Block Print Company, and they also do all sorts of lovely wood stamps and everything, but I decided it was original designs today, so woohoo, bring it on. Ugh. Sorry, I just put my hand on the paintbrush. Always have a cloth or something for cleaning your paws and anything that comes off on the edges. Right, here are some other sponge bits that I find helpful. They are just a standard dish sponge chopped into little squares, but at the moment, because this design is fairly detailed and I'm trying to do it in 2 colours, I'm using the posh little spongy pouncy things. So what I've done is I've measured and I've used the air erasable fading fabric marker pen to mark off every 3 inches along here, and I did it along there. So this line is the, here's one I did earlier. So I did all these motifs and then I went in and added those ones after. So we have done this one, and then we're going to do this one and this one, and then we'll go back in with the little ones, boop, 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 and then hopefully, eventually we'll have an all-round design for the tea towel, which leaves the middle free. I tend to like to leave the middle free on a tea towel, basically because it means you've got somewhere to dry the dishes that isn't going to ruin your design. This will be, I chuck mine in the washing machine, they do fine. So without further ado, let us pounce. So this one, he's going to go there. Okay, so I tend to work from the middle to the outside when I'm doing this. Now these colours are a mix of colours. So this one is bronze and olive brown and black. And this one, oh, and a hint of turquoise. Turquoise? No, midnight blue. And this set is a random selection of kiwi, olive green, midnight blue, and Indian yellow, because it seemed like a good idea at the time. The idea was, given the trees have just started changing colour, I wanted to make these slightly going into a hint of autumn rather than being springy green. So, yay. Right, so I tend to start from the middle of the stamp. So we go a pounce, 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 pounce. And we make sure we've covered all the bits we want to be brown. There we go. Put it back on there. And then these again. If you've got too much on, you can just kind of squash the side and roll it out. Now, again, pounce, pounce, pounce. Make sure it's all covered. Pounce, pounce, pounce. If you want a bit more light or dark or anything like that on your leaves, you can pick up a bit of the colour that's a bit less well mixed in to give it a bit more interest. Okay, that looks reasonable. Okay, so I was there, leave a gap, I am here, about the same distance up, put it down flat. Press it gently, hold it, keep it still. About 10 seconds, because that allows the tea towel to pick up the paint. Hold your tea towel down, lift. Ta-da! And then we do it again. Herp, moving up. Moving on up. Yes, it is currently silly o'clock in the morning because I can and because I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd make a thing. And so I'm making a thing. La la la. And this is the wonderful thing about making a thing, is you can do it when you can't sleep. You can do it when you in the middle of the afternoon or whatever you fancy. La la la. And it doesn't have to be a masterpiece, and it doesn't have to be for anybody else. Yeah. But me, because it's for me, because I'm worth it. Right, so here, move, move, think, and straight down, floop. Notice I have helpfully put a little arrow, I'll show you in a minute, 4, 5, 6, counting, 7, 8, 9, 10. And hold and lift. Now, here I've missed a tiny end, so I can take a paintbrush, la la la, and I can paint in that little missing little end. I mean, you might not want to, you might like your leaf to have a bit missing. I'm not in the mood for that, so I shall paint it in. Right, so all those big motifs are now done. Now we go on to the small motifs, and these go here, and here, and here, and here, and here. So we're only going to do this side of the tea towel for now. I will put a picture of the fully finished one in the comments or the something, you know, or add it as a still at the end if I'm in the mood. But this is what we're going to do next, is this bit. I tend to like to do these and let it dry a bit and then go in and do the other ones, because if you try and go right on top of another one, you can smudge it. It's much easier not to get your hands in it if you do alternates and then go back. Small one, right. Think, girl, think what you're doing. These I might make a bit more coppery, so let's have a bit more of that copper. Splooch, splooch, splooch. Okay, so coppery, leafy, 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 leaf. Again, working from the middle to the, let's make that a bit lighter. There we go. And smooch, smooch, smooch. Yes, the sound effects are entirely compulsory. La la la. La 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 la. There we go. Right. Again, right to left, because I'm left-handed. Now, what I've done with the other one, which I haven't done with this one, and I probably should. Let me get the pen without leaning in it. Be careful when you are leaning across your work. Okay, on here, I want to put a helpful arrow so I know which way up it is when I'm not looking at it. It may seem entirely, there goes the pens, it may seem entirely obvious, but in the heat of the moment, it may not be. Be sure not to put too much paint on your printing block, because otherwise it can squidge out around the edges and give you these slightly darker halos around it. You might like that. So again, about the same distance up. Check I'm not going to actually meet that tree coming the other way. Poink. 1. And count, count, count. La la la. If you want to, as you can see, this is going at live speed. So I'm not speeding this up or anything. So if you wanted to, you could do this as a bit of a paint along, if you wanted to, you know. So I'll just put a little bit more of that up the middle. I'm going to put a bit less on this time because it did seem to be a bit brown. And do-do-ba-do, as I say, you know, you could, and to be honest, you don't have to use a fancy block stamp. You can do something like this with a bit of foam board, or even, I've done cornflake packet before. Cornflake packet's pretty good as a base for a rubber stamp. I mean, it's a little bit it's a bit bendy, but actually use your delivery boxes. Delivery boxes are great for this. Okay, and there we go. Go boop. 2, 3. La 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 la. And lift. That's looking all right. Check your fingers every so often to make sure you're not going to get anything off your fingers onto there. La la la. The other thing you obviously can use as a stamp is everyone's favourite object, potato. We love potato. Potato is king. So, and you can always use half for a stamp and eat the other half for dinner. I have also been known to, if I've cut a particularly nice potato stamp, I have been known to wrap it up and put it in the fridge. You know, clean it off, wrap it up, put it in the fridge, and it will last for at least a week, possibly 2. Now here, I've got a bit of goop on there because actually there we are. So you can scrape it off and then check. This isn't too goopy, I've just got too much on there. Oh no, I've got a hair, help, help. There we go. Is it one of mine? Probably. There we go. You don't want to get hair on this. There we go. Let's put the middle of the stamp back on again. That looks better. Okay, line it up, line it up. Plunk. And wait. Thing about this is if you wanted an all over grid pattern or something like that, just rule it up. Use a fading fabric marker. Use a straight edge, use a tape measure, whatever you've got. There we go. 2 more and then I'll finish this side. So, there we go. The other thing that works fairly well as a stamp is if you happen to get chips or takeaway or something that comes in one of those expanded polystyrene, you know, those expanded polystyrene boxy things. And that stuff, if you layer it up, give it a couple of layers deep, again, it makes a pretty good stamp. What I'm losing on here, because I'm working on fabric, is the detail. Because what you can see here is that these actually have little veins on the leaves. And if I was doing this on paper, then the veins would come out. With a regular stamp pad on paper, you get a far more detailed stamp than you do on the fabric. So that's just always good to bear in mind. Have I got green on my fingers? No. Have I got copper nails? Oh yes, copper nails, very nice. Who needs nail polish when you're an artist? Just use whatever you've got on hand, or whatever you've got on your hands is more to the point. I have made these a bit lower down, but actually I don't care. It's a forest, it's supposed to be natural. La la la. Okay. 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Hup. And last one. If you're wondering where to get your printable tea towels and stuff, I got these from, I believe, the Clever Baggers. Okay, Clever Baggers. And they do all kinds of blank products for printing, for stamp, you know, for embellishing, for whatever you like, t-shirts, the lot. Bags. I am not sponsored by any of these things I'm mentioning, by the way. It's just nice for you guys to know where to get stuff. So let's do that, and let's put the last one down. Make sure it's actually flat. You do not want to get a crease in your tea towel. There we go. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold and lift. There we go. Okay, well that, as you can see, is 3 of the 4 sides of said tea towel. I am going to go on and finish this tea towel and do the 4th side. Oh, go on, let's do it. Let's do it. I wasn't going to do it on video, but let's do it. I'm just going to move that out of the way because what I need to do is rotate. Okay, so we're going to pull this and we're going to rotate 180. Are we ready? it's a very good idea to move your paint off the thing that you're going to rotate. Whoop, because if it falls on the floor, it's going to be a bit of a problem. So round we go, because it's so much easier to work. Whoops, sorry guys. There we go. Let's put you back to where you should be. Was that where you were? I think that's where you were. Yeah, that'll do. Doink. Yeah, that looks about right. You can kind of see the detail, yeah? Right, so we're going to do this last bit. Get the hairs off. If you have pets or anything, you may want to put this out and then lint roller it to make sure all the little bits of fluffer off. Fluffer off. That's a really good word. Fluffer off before you start printing, because if you get hairs in it, it can be really annoying, and it can actually, you know, pull the paint across and make it do all sorts of weird things. Right, so we have a nice flat detail. We have a tape measure, because this way I could use the ruler, but this way I've got to use a tape measure because my ruler, well, my big ruler's downstairs and I can't be bothered. So we'll use a tape measure. So, oh, and for your joyous information, we can see what this tea towel's made of. And this one is 52% linen, 48% cotton. And is machine washable at 40. And I really should have got myself a drink before I started this video. Right, so here we have 30 inches, which divides really nicely by 3. We like this. So, off we go. I'm making these markings right down on the seam here. So, to 30. You could hold it, I'm just going to hold it in place. 3, 6, 9, 12. I did check how wide my stamp was before I started marking up. There we go. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 big ones, 5 small ones. So that's going to be a small, that's a small, that's a small, that's a small, that's a small. This is fading fabric marker. Okay, this fades in daylight, it's UV active, and Hemline make one, and they call it, hang on, I've got one in its packet, give me a moment. Here's one I prepared earlier. They call it a vanishing fabric marker. Ta-da! Again, this is not something I am advertising, blah, blah, being paid for, whatever, you know. But yeah, Hemline, that's what I'm using. And I will warn you, do not use it if you are sitting by a brightly lit window or if you're out in the garden. It's UV active, it will fade. Don't do anything intricate with it if you're going to go away from it. This happened to me. I was at Amberley Museum doing some silk painting demos at one of their craft weekends, and it was raining, so it was nice and humid, and I was using it on silk, so I drew my butterfly, which I was going to then trace with the outliner, and then I stopped to talk to somebody, you know, explaining about stuff, and about a few minutes later I looked down and the butterfly vanished. It flown off because the silk was slightly damp and the marker had reacted with the daylight and the moisture, and it had just gone, and so I had to trace it again. So yes, right, so those are the ones with the S, so we need to do the ones without the S. Bonk. Right, story time is over. Let's get back to the painting. Right, actually I want these, yeah, these are going to be the browner ones. La la la. It's a, if you might think, oh, I've got a narrow bit of stamp here, I probably want to paint it on or something. If you paint it onto your stamp, then you don't get enough paint on the stamp. If you think that you have got too much paint on the stamp where you don't want it, you can rub off with a flannel or whatever. Yes, this is my fabric painting flannel. It does go through the washing machine. It doesn't come out. And that's fine because I have sacrificed it to art. La la la. La la la. Don't forget the bit in the middle. Right. So I need one not marked S, but we're going to go right to left because I'm left-handed and I'm likely to put my elbow in it. if I do the stuff here first. I'm going to do the stuff over there, which is away from my dominant hand. You guys will probably want to start here rather than here. Okay, so that doesn't say S. There we go. So we want to go there. And we're going here. So down we go. Da, 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 da. 9, 10. Hold it, lift it. Not bad. Okay, let's have another one. 3 more of these. La la la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Again, I think I might do the rubbing it off the bits I do not want. Because I want to keep these fairly green. I should have enough of this. If you're going to mix a custom colour, make sure you've got enough of it. Or make sure, which I do with silk painting, that you write down the exact proportion of each colour you are using to make that specific colour. For silk painting, if I'm being a fuss pot and I really want to know what colour it is for next time, I will put it in the palette drop by drop with a pipette. And I will write down on a piece of paper the number of drops of each colour I have used to create that colour. That way I can make another exact match. So I know it's that brand, that pipette, that colour, that many drops. There we go, not bad. The other thing I often do is if I need a colour tester for later, if I want a sample, I will put it in my logbook, or I'll just daub some of this on a piece of kitchen paper. Yeah, because that way, sorry, I've got a bit of paint stuck on it. I'm going to use that. Basically, because my copper was a bit gloopy, you can see there, that is a big gloop of copper, which had gone a bit solid on the lid of the jar, and I was like, oh, I'll slap it in. And I shouldn't have, because I would actually like this to be decent consistent. That's better. Okay, and wipe. Yes, you can wipe things off using your finger, but make sure that you're then not going to get it on anything else. As I say, make sure you've got enough to get to the end, because you don't want to be playing paint chicken, you know, like yarn chicken, as many of you will understand. You know what yarn chicken is? Most people, well, many people, anyone who knits will know what, or crochets will know what yarn chicken is. Okay, bop, bop, there we go. This is check twice, stamp once, you know, in accordance with ancient tradition. There we go. If you can hear rustling in the background, it's because it's raining a lot, which I'm very excited by. There we go. Yep, very nice. And just one more of these big ones here. Okay, and then we will be on to the little ones. There we go. Dunk, 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 dunk. Bop. Boop, 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 boop. Stick it on the cloth. Yes, I've got, oh, you can see the cloth, that's fine. Leaf time. Oh yeah, you can see all of that. Squash it out. It's been absorbed into the middle of this. So I might as well squish it out and have some. You don't want too much on there. That's good. So you want to make sure it's covered. Like approximately that. You can just kind of do this with it in the light, and then you'll be able to see whether it's actually universally covered or not. Right. Bop, bop, there we go. Down, hold. This is going to look all right, I think. For the fact it's silly o'clock in the morning, and I decided this was a good idea in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night. I'm I am printing in my sleeve. That's a good one. There we go. Oh, notice that was a little bit fainter than the other ones, basically because I was an idiot. So at this point, I could... Where'd that brush go? Anybody seen my brush? Oh, it's over there. There we go. Sorry about that. Brushy brush. Now, Mr. Brushy Brush is going to have on him some of this brown. Okay. And we're going to paint in just a little bit some of this, because I would like it to be, I want to be a better tree. Just making it a little bit more solid. You can actually just paint with these as well, rather than having to use them for block printing or whatever. You could actually just go fabric painting with them. I don't tend to, but in case of emergency, Phoebe chocolate, no. In case of emergency, being able to touch it up, that looks a bit more solid. Can be helpful. Right, I'm going to put that out of harm's way again. Stay. Do not taunt the hedgehog. It's all right, I've got hedgehogs over there. Not literally. Right, small printing block. Da-da-da. Even if you're making for yourself, don't forget to sign your work. Good idea not to do it where the hanging loop is for your tea towel. Mine's here, so I'll probably do it either in this corner or this corner. And I just put initials and a year, because it's really lovely to have these random things in your kitchen drawer. And suddenly, 10 years later, you realise you're still using it, and it is super cool. I found one of the reasons I'm doing this, I found one in my kitchen drawer the other day, and I was like, oh, I haven't used that for a little while. Put it to the top of the tea towel pile, and realised I'd made it in 2014. So that was 10 years ago, which I was just so cool to think I'm still using this thing that I made. So yay. Right, how far up do we want to go? About there. Let's go. Dupe. So yes, use your stuff, make it for yourself, enjoy it. And if anyone goes, oh my god, that's awesome, then you have options. And the options are to either go, yeah, I can make you one, or, whatever you fancy really, because you could make them one, or you could say, well, we could go on a course together and we could make stuff, because some places do courses like that. You can go and make a tea towel, or you can all go as a group and make something, and it's really fun. Or, to be honest, this sort of kit, if you can get hold of a nice bit of foam, or to be honest, you don't even need foam. You can use a pile of newspapers. You can use, if you've got an old wool blanket, those are really good, and you can pick them up in the charity shop as well. So there's lots of things. Now this is going to be a bit more like this. Oh yes, these are going to need a good wash later. Now the trick with washing these is don't let them dry out. Don't let them dry out first. Yeah. That's what the problem is. Does it go all the way to the edge of your stamp? That looks better. Now that will do a better job. We're nearly there. Oh, that's going to be quite fun, I think. Yes, there we go. Just get a bit more green in the middle. Green in the middle. Yeah, that'll do. Right. And we put it here. And yes, I could speed some of this up, but you can see what I'm doing. And if you find it restful, you are most welcome to stay. I have 1, 2, 3 more to do. And then there will be tea towel, which will be very exciting. And then I can use it. Well, actually, I can't use it right away, because what I will need to do is leave it overnight. I usually leave these overnight to dry. Okay? Leave it overnight to dry. And then either you can iron it, or you can stick it in. What does it say you have to do with it? Follow the instructions on your textile paint. This one says iron directly onto the print side of the fabric for 5 minutes with a dry or steam iron. This other one says you can do that, or you can put it in the tumble dryer for 10 to 15 minutes on hot. So if you can't iron, or you don't have one but you've got a tumble dryer, then you're in, which is fantastic. It's nice to have options because not everybody has the same kit. Not everybody has the same facilities. But if you want to do this and you haven't got an iron, don't panic. Maybe you have a friend who's got one you could borrow. If you are worried, if they're worried about getting paint or anything on their iron, you can always put another tea towel, another cloth between that and the iron to make sure it doesn't mess up their iron or their ironing board. Now, careful, because you've got a pin here, you've got a marker here. Use the marker, not the pin. Be sensible. Think. Always think before you stamp. Otherwise, frustration can occur. Roll in and hop. Okay, 2 more. Oh, this is surprising amount of stamping. I was just going to do the ends, but I'd done one of the ends and then I decided I wanted some of the edges as well, and then I thought I should probably do it and share it with you guys. So this is why we've ended up here at, as I say, relatively silly o'clock in the morning, but I don't care because I'm having fun. And that's what it's about. It's about having fun, experimenting. And if it's not perfect, who cares? Because firstly, it might be for you anyway. Secondly, it is a handmade, unique product, made with love, affection, and occasional swearing. And if anybody says they can do better, that's fine. No problem. Knock yourself out. Go and do it. I would love to see what you create. I am not here to do, right now, the making of a grand piano. This is not supposed to be an expensive bit of something designer. This is supposed to be a fun thing, because I woke up in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, so I thought I'd make a thing. And therefore, as I say, it's for me and I don't care. So it can be whatever I want it to be. So let's put him on there. 3, 2, 1, splunch. And we wait. There we go. And we lift. Congratulations. Woohoo! So, to sign your work, there may be a clonk at this point, or maybe not, it might shake. There we go. Right, to sign our work, I tend to use, if I can find it, sorry, should have got this out before I started. Ah, here we go. Right, this is Sharpie Rubber Dub, Sharpie laundry marker, okay, specifically called laundry marker because it goes through the laundry. So, or you could use outliner or a bit of fabric paint or whatever you like. I just like to be able to go nice and just kind of subtle. I know black's not exactly subtle, but there we go, job done. So initials, date, just 2025 will do. So then we have finish. So this needs to sit overnight. I'm going to take the paint out of the middle. There we go. Now, before everything dries, do not walk away and leave this stuff to dry. If you want to, if you've got a more robust stamp, you can get some of it off. You can use a wet wipe. I'm going to take it into the bathroom and I'm going to use, a wet wipe, or I'm going to use the flannel, and I'm just going to gently wipe as much paint as I can off. The other thing I use is a paintbrush sometimes to get around the edge and loosen it up. Or the other thing that's really helpful to use is another sponge, like one of these, possibly even that side if I'm feeling overexcitable. Or if you've got actual proper woodblock stamps, an old toothbrush is a wonderful thing for getting into those deeper crevices of the rubber stamps or the woodblock stamps. So without further ado, let me put all of those to the side. There we go. And we have here, she says excitedly, let me see if I can move the camera away. That's not going to work. Maybe it just about is. If I hold this up a bit. Yeah, there we are. So you can see the whole just about tea towel. And actually I think that looks pretty cute. I don't want to move it around too much because it is still wet. I will photo the whole thing once it's dry, and I'll stick a photo at the end or whatever. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this block printing journey today. I hope you've had fun. I hope it's been nice to see a bit of the process and have some ideas, and basically, yeah, thank you so much. And if you want to find out more about me, I'm Jane Cameron. You can find me at www.janecameron.co.uk. I am Jane Cameron Artist on Facebook, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Thank you very much. Bye.